Hey guys, Sam here, and today we're going to be talking about some recent off-season rumors floating around MLB over the last week or so. While it's been a very slow offseason due to COVID-19 financially impacting a lot of teams, there is still action. Other than Kevin Gausman and Marcus Stroman accepting their qualifying offers for about $19 million each from the Giants and Mets respectively, Drew Smyly signing with the Braves for about $11 million, and Robbie Wood with the Blue Jays for about $8 million, just about nothing significant has really happened so far in the offseason. While many thought the market would be bad due to nobody claiming Brad Hand for about $10 million off waivers, these starting pitchers have all gotten pretty reasonable salaries they might have gotten in a normal offseason, which is interesting. Although they are, supplementary pieces and not top of the rotation aces or really big free agents, they still did get reasonable contracts, which some people thought might not happen because teams lost so much money due to COVID-19. However, this doesn't really tell us a ton about what might happen with like really big name free agents. However, what we can gather from this information is that the starting pitching market seems somewhat unaffected for those who had good 2020 seasons. But it seems that nobody is really willing to pay relievers, like Brad Hand, big money, at least this early in the offseason, as evidenced by that lack of interest at hand. So that would be a pretty good deal, normally, that $10 million for Brad Hand for a dominant reliever in other seasons. To give some context to that, that's actually what the Dodgers paid Blake Trinan, who was a big name, but was coming off a bad season with the A's in which he was injured in 2020. And obviously that was a good gamble. So this likely seems, the fact that no teams wanted Hand is very much likely due to the bad market because of COVID-19. So getting into some of the actual rumors and the predictions being made by many experts aren't too surprising. Many think that free agent infielder DJ LeMahieu, a perennial MVP candidate, believe he finished fourth and second in the past 2 years, 19 and 20, is heavily favored to return to the Yankees, and maybe even he would take a discount to do so. It's been reported. The Nationals are actually pursuing him as well. But that seems like an unlikely landing spot to me because they aren't really in a position to make another World Series run anytime soon. And I doubt they could outbid the Yankees enough to sway DJ to go there because, again, they're not a super competitive team. The Dodgers are also mentioned as possible suitors for LeMahieu because of their availability in the infield and need of a right-handed bat. But I, along with many other industry experts, expect the Dodgers to re-sign Justin Turner instead and go that route instead of LeMahieu. But I think he's definitely a possibility for the Dodgers if we don't re-sign Turner. So speaking of third base, the Dodgers have recently been rumored to be very interested in Rockies third baseman and perennial all-star Nolan Arenado. Well, it would be fun to trade for Arenado because Arenado grew up a Dodgers fan and plays for a division rival. I would be somewhat shocked if this trade does go down. While Arenado would probably waive his no-trade and opt-out clause next season to play in Los Angeles, again, because he grew up there and we win all the time, I have trouble believing the Dodgers would trade whatever high price and prospects the Rockies are going to want for the end of his prime and the beginning of Arenado's decline as he enters his mid-30s. They would also presumably be taking on most of the 29-year-old's $135 million over 5 years contract, which could hinder any extensions for Corey Seager, Clayton Kershaw, Cody Bellinger, Walker Buehler, and Julio Urias that the Dodgers are going to need to figure out in the next 1 to 5 years, say. This trade would be fine, but similarly to the one for Lindor, it's sort of pointless and could hurt the Dodgers in the future. There's no need to make it really. However, if Andrew Friedman can somehow make it work and keep all of the core, I mean, I'm for it. But I don't think it should preclude the Dodgers from signing Turner or Seager. So another third baseman on the market is Cubs former MVP Chris Bryant, who has 1 year left before his own free agency. He was absolutely atrocious in 2020, but he was hurt, and a lot of hitters had far fewer resources with which to work because of COVID-19. So a lot of guys did struggle who are normally very good. So I wouldn't read too much into that, but he was very, very bad. The Nationals are said to be interested in a trade for him. But again, with the Nationals, I don't really see why they would trade for him for 1 year unless they plan to extend him. But that also doesn't really make sense to me because they gave him a horrible contract, a big, long, kind of Steven Strasburg, who's always hurt, last year. And their future need to extend Juan Soto and Trey Turner would probably mean they couldn't extend Bryant as well. It would have to not want to extend those two guys. And I just don't see the point for them in doing that. So the top starting pitcher on the market, reigning National League Cy Young Award winner Trevor Bauer, is likely headed for a long-term deal worth a lot of money. but we can't know just how much right now because, again, we don't know what's going on with the market really. And also because his performance this season was far, far higher than how it usually is in his career. And it was also a small sample size of about 11 starts against mostly some bad teams, although we did have a very good playoff start against the Braves. I would expect probably a big deal from either the Angels, Mets, Reds, or Yankees. I'm sure there are some other teams I'm forgetting that could be in there as well, but those teams in particular have the need and money. The Padres could be added, but I'm not really sure they have the financial flexibility, especially if they want to extend Tatis to add Bauer. If, though, Bauer would take only 1-year deals for the rest of his career, which he said he was going to do a few years ago, but I think it was just a bet with a friend that I think he's messing around. That would obviously change the shape of the market, putting virtually any team on the board for him. Again, I think this is kind of nonsense, though, because Bauer does one of those guys who likes to stir up things, be a little controversial for fun, and his value on the market will also never be higher than it is after this dominant season. He'd be, in my opinion, stupid not to take the biggest deal he can get this year. But you never know. He's somewhat of an enigma. JT Realmuto, the top catcher on the market by far and one of the best in baseball, is probably looking at a 4 to 6 year deal because he's entering his 30s. But again, it's hard to predict financial value on this market. I would expect him to sign with the Mets because their new owner has said he wants to spend money on players, and the Mets have a big hole at catcher. Additionally, Realmuto could return to Philly, but they need to get their GM situation sorted out first. For George Springer and Marcell Ozuna, the markets are probably similar. Mets, Red Sox, Cardinals, maybe the Astros as well. Basically, any team that needs an outfielder should be very interested in either of these two for probably a 5 to 7 year deal. Yeah, so that's most of the big news and rumors surrounding some of baseball's big free agents and trade candidates over the 2020 to 2021 offseason. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell, share with your friends. I'd appreciate any of that. Thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next video.